What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some incredibly high level gameplay submitted to the channel by Tangy Platypus, who has already hit legend rank this season and is running Rhyperior, Gholdengo and Kommo-O in the Master Premier Cup, but Kommo-O is running a pretty unusual moveset with Poison Jab as the fast move and double nukes of Close Combat and Boom Burst as the charge moves, and he picks up some insane wins. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. At the start of the season, when the Premier Cups were announced, there was a lot of hype because we haven't had them for many seasons, but we've only had 1 week of Ultra Premier and 1 week of Master Premier Cup, both running alongside the Open Great League, which was always going to be the more popular league, and it's meant that actually there isn't nearly as much interest as was expected. Also, when you compare that to the fact that we've had 2 weeks of every Great League themed cup this season, and some of those were insanely restrictive, it feels a little bit disappointing. So what I want to know is, what are your thoughts on Niantic making sure there is some sort of Great League Cup available to play in all season? Do you think it's an overall positive thing or a negative thing? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, Rhyperior into Florges, so pretty neutral matchup here. Of course, they could be running Petal Blizzard. I think it's very unlikely though, and the opponent isn't going to farm to it anyway, so definitely just going to no-shield the first move. They go for a Moonblast, we're going to go straight for the Rock Wrecker, but the opponent makes a brilliant catch there, catching it onto their Annihilate. Doesn't do much damage there as it is resisted. We're now going to come in with the Gholdengo, and this is quite a tricky call to make. We're going to call that they are just baiting, but the opponent full sends the Shadow Ball. We barely hang on, we make it to our own Shadow Ball, but the opponent can just safely shield this up, and honestly, Annihilate, once Gholdengo is off the field, is actually very troublesome for our team. We come back in with the Rhyperior just because Kommo-O is completely walled here. Everything is either resisted or double resisted by the Ghost typing, so we come in with the Kommo-O. We did at least get a debuff with the Breaking Swipe, and the opponent baits with a Night Slash, then getting an unnecessary boost as they swap out, but they swap into Shadow Snorlax, and this is actually very big for us because we can just safely overfarm massively in this matchup, farming to nearly 100 energy, going for the Close Combat, and Close Combat will of course one-shot the Shadow Snorlax, and if they come back in with the Florges, they're not going to be ready for the Poison Jab damage and the insane damage from Boom Burst. We're going to throw on the CMP tie, perfect timing here, and Boom Burst gets the one-shot. They come back in with Annihilate. We've only got double resisted charge moves to throw, but it doesn't matter. We put them into range where Close Combat gets the KO up against the Annihilate, and we're able to take that game. So there you can see Kommo-O didn't really have the best matchups there, but still somehow swept an entire team, which is insane. But into the next battle, we're going to see Annihilate in the lead this time around. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and we do get it off first this time, grabbing a shield from the opponent. This time we are going to shield, and this time they bait as well, so really unfortunate. They then swap into Chandelure, which is very interesting, running double Ghost so far. So of course Kommo-O has literally nothing to do up against this team. Honestly, I'm not really sure what we're going to do here. Of course, we're going to come in with the Rhyperior, and Rhyperior is so bulky in the Master Premier Cup. We're going to no-shield the first move. They go for Shadow Ball, although a second Shadow Ball will of course get the KO, so definitely going to have to shield this up here. They go for Shadow Ball number 2, and we can go for that Mud Slap farm down. Now, the opponent is going to wait out their switch clock here and then come back in with their Annihilate. So we're going straight for the Breaking Swipe and then probably going to swap into our Kommo-O, hoping the opponent is just going to swap out of this matchup. But they stay in initially, but once again, we do get that Breaking Swipe debuff. Shadow Ball coming through, doesn't do too much damage, and they've got a Shadow Magnet Zone in the back. So this is playable, but we have to play this pretty much perfectly here. They go for the Wild Charge, getting us incredibly low, but we do make it to a Close Combat. Now, Close Combat is going to get the one shot, and we are barely able to make it to a second Close Combat. That's absolutely huge here. Close Combat doesn't do too much damage there, but we win the CMP tie with the Rhyperior, and Breaking Smite from this range will get the KO up against the Annihilate, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, we see Dragonite in the lead, so a bit of an awkward lead matchup for us here. Of course, Mud Slap going to be resisted, Breaking Swipe hits for super effective damage, and Rock Wrecker would hit absolutely insanely hard. But I think the safe play is just going for those Breaking Swipes, because of course we do debuff their attack. We are going to shield at the last second. It's just a Dragon Claw bait, which is unfortunate, but we're going for a second Breaking Swipe here. Breaking Swipe is going to grab a shield, and then we're going to swap out into our Gholdengo. The opponent comes in with a Shadow Snorlax, and we have Focus Blast for coverage, so we're just full full sending it, no messing around here, and Focus Blast one-shots the Shadow Snorlax. They then come in with an Excadrill, and we're going straight for the Shadow Ball. Of course, Excadrill a lot classier than the Snorlax, so we go straight for the Shadow Ball there. No reason to go for the Focus Blast. The opponent is going to overfarm massively, but that's okay. Gonna no shield here. Drill Run will be taking us out. We're going to come in with the Kommo-O, as of course we're not running Dragon Tail or Dragon Claw, so it's not going to do that well up against a Dragonite. They go for the Drill Run, dealing decent damage there. We lose CMP, but I believe we should live this, so we are going to no shield. It is the Drill Run once again, and we do just barely hang on. So Close Combat will of course hit for super effective damage, easily gets the knockout. We can come back in with the Rhyperior, and by the time we make it to the Breaking Swipe, they should just barely be in range for it to KO. That should go for Superpower anyways. I think they're probably just not at back-to-back charge moves there, so that was their win condition, going for the Superpower, but now that easily makes it so that Breaking Swipe gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game, we stay in initially just to see if it was Waterfall, and that definitely was Waterfall, dealing big double super effective damage up against the Rhyperior. We swap into Goldengo, and we bait out a Skeledirge, and honestly, it's not too bad baiting out a Skeledirge, as of course Kommo-O, once again, another Ghost type, gets completely walled by the Skeledirge. Now we can come in with the Rhyperior, and potentially just go for a full Mudslap farm down here. Let's see, they go for the Shadow Ball, dealing decent damage there, and we are going to overfarm, and they do make it to another charge move. So at this point, I do agree with this. Just go for the full farm down and then fire off a Rock Wrecker into the Primarina. That's going to come back in, and this is going to do huge damage if the opponent doesn't shield, and they don't shield, so now we swap into our Kommo-O, and the opponent swaps out straight away, but they've got Annihilate in the back. So honestly, this is just game over. This is just one too many Annihilate for our team to handle right now. We're going to go for the Boom Burst anyways, just for the sake of it, and Boom Burst is going to be no shielded. It does almost no damage at all, and we're just going to concede the match there. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Garchomp in the lead. So this is a fairly neutral matchup. If they are running the Dragon Tail fast move, they're just going to go straight for a Sand Tomb. So of course, going to debuff our defense. It is super effective, but it doesn't hit particularly hard. And we should definitely shield this second one if we are going to shield at all. We go for Breaking Swipe, and we get another debuff. So getting very fortunate with the Breaking Swipe debuff so far. Going for a second Breaking Swipe, grabbing a shield, and getting yet another debuff. So that's probably worse for us, just because we will now live a Sand Tomb, and they're going to get slightly more energy as they get the full farm down. But we come in with the Goldengo here, and do they have an Earth Power loaded? Tough call to make. I haven't been keeping track, and it was just a Sand Tomb bait, unfortunately. But they're going to come in with their own Goldengo here, and that is very interesting from the opponent. Possibly means they got something like a Metagross in the back, because otherwise, don't really understand why you would come in with it. But here, we're just going to shield this out, of course. This can only be a Shadow Ball, so that would definitely take us out. We're going to overfarm as much as we can, go for a Shadow Ball of our own, and of course, this will be taking out Goldengo, and it is the Metagross in the back, so we can go straight for a Shadow Ball. This won't quite one-shot them from full health, but it does huge damage. We then just swap into our Kommo-O, and we can go for a fully resisted, double resisted Poison Jab farm down with our Kommo-O, or we can just go and throw the Close Combat just for the sake of it. Gonna fully undercharge it, of course. From 1 HP, it takes out the Metagross, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game, we see another Flourishes in the lead, so this is fine with us, as long as they are not running Petal Blizzard, but once again, they don't farm to it, so that's fine. Gonna no shield here as the opponent baits with a Disarming Voice. This time, the Rock Wrecker does not get caught, and Rock Wrecker gonna hit like an absolute truck, so the opponent does reset the damage, and then we swap into Goldengo, once again baiting out a Skeledirge, which is very useful for the Kommo-O, as of course, Kommo-O can't really do much there, but we go for the Shadow Ball, and the opponent doesn't respect the damage there. Honestly, that didn't make an awful lot of sense, because of course, Goldengo doesn't have a bait move to throw. It was always going to be a Shadow Ball, but this is a bait as it's just a Night Slash from the opponent. We can go for another Shadow Ball, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to make it to another Shadow Ball here, and the opponent can go for a full counter farm down. So we come in with the Kommo-O here just to sponge the energy. They go for the Shadow Ball, and then they swap back into their Flourishes. So we are going to shield in this matchup here. They go for Disarming Voice, of course. That's easily going to one-shot us. It is double super effective, but we're going to stay in this matchup as long as we can, shielding up the next Disarming Voice, and then we're just going to bank our energy. I'm not really sure if that's that helpful for us, since everything is double resisted up against the Annihilate, but this is a Legend Trainer. They've played very well so far, so let's see how this goes. Gonna go for the Breaking Swipe once again. Can we get another debuff? And the answer is yes, we can. We're just one away from the back-to-back close combats. We make it in time. The first one doesn't do much damage. Honestly, I'm not certain if this will KO, but we throw throw the second close combat, winning CMP, and we just barely get the knockout and the screenshot as well, which is even better for us, and we're able to take that game. Into next game, we see a Rhyperior mirror match, but they're going to swap out straight away into their Gyarados. So we're going to respond with the Goldengo here, and the opponent has overfarmed massively. So I think we're just going to shield this up. The opponent full sends a Hydro Pump, and that would have done huge damage there. So great shield, and now we can go for a Shadow Ball. I don't think they're going to make it to a second Hydro Pump. This should just be an Aqua Tail. It might be a Crunch actually, but it is just the Aqua Tail, so we can live that. And we've also, I believe, got a Focus Blast already loaded. So if they come back in with the Rhyperior, we can just go straight for that Focus Blast, and Focus Blast obviously going to hit insanely hard, so the opponent does respect the damage. They're then going to swap into a Primarina, but they are running Charm this time around, so definitely can't swap into our Kommo-O, at least not initially anyways, and we are going to stay in with the Rhyperior, get the full farm down, and we should be fine here, going straight for the Breaking Swipe. Of course, Breaking Swipe not going to do much damage there. The opponent does no shield, but once again we get an attack debuff there, perfect for us. We can come in with the Kommo-O, no shield. Of course, they can't go for Rock Wrecker as that is resisted damage. I mean, it still do probably slightly more damage than a Breaking Swipe, but of course it costs a lot more energy. So at this point, we're just going to go for the back-to-back close combats, going for the first one. They no shield that first one, and that's fine. We're not quite going to get a full Poison Jab farm down, so instead we throw the charge move at the last second. The opponent shields, and they were at 1 HP, so it actually KOs through the shield, and we're able to take that game. Into the next game, bit of an awkward lead matchup here, of course. We are a Rock type, but we've only got Mud Slap and Breaking Swipe as the cheapest charge move here. Rock Wrecker would do huge damage, but it takes a lot of energy to get there, but the opponent shields the bait anyway, so that's good. At this point, they have to go for Aura Sphere to take us out, and they are running Aura Sphere, which is maybe a little bit unexpected. Typically, Togekiss is running like Ancient Power and Flamethrower, or maybe Aerial Ace. But anyways, we're going to go for a Shadow Ball into the Conkeldurr, and then swap into our Kommo-O. So, of course, we would resist a Brutal Swing. They're probably going to go for a Dynamic Punch, so we do shield that up. And honestly, typically Togekiss gonna wall the Kommo-O here, but we are running Boom Burst, so we are full sending it here. Boom Burst does big damage, once again grabbing the screenshot, and we get a simultaneous KO, but they've got a Mamoswine in the back, so this is going to be a very close battle. We need to throw on perfect timing, but unfortunately we are just barely outpaced to that charge move before we throw, and then we go and throw straight away. So I'm not sure about this, but of course we were getting very close to 100 energy, so we don't really want to go over that, and we can see we just barely miss out on making it to a Focus Blast. Shadow Ball just barely doesn't get the KO, super unfortunate, but now the opponent can go and send a high horsepower number 2, and unfortunately we do lose that game. Don't know why I forgot how to talk there, but anyways, into the next battle, we're going to see the opponent Safe Swaps into Goodra. I think they led with the Magnezone, but I honestly wasn't paying too much attention there. They're going to go for an Aqua Tail, which doesn't do too much damage. Honestly, I don't think Shadow Ball is going to get the KO. Goodra has some decent bulk to it, so I think we are going to have to full send a Focus Blast here to win switch advantage, but we're going to shield the next move here coming from the Goodra. They go for Aqua Tail, and you can see even the resisted Dragon Breath damage is starting to chunk us. We are in the red health range after having only landed one Aqua Tail up against us. And at this point, we are also going to double shield here. Can we make it to the Focus Blast? It looks like we're trying to get there, but I don't think we're quite going to get there in time. So we commit to the Shadow Ball, and it doesn't quite get the KO, which is really unfortunate, given that we are a Steel type and we just lost to a pure Dragon. But we're going to come in with our own Dragon here, coming in with the Kommo-O. The opponent only makes it to an Aqua Tail. We get the neutral Poison Jab farm down. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with their Magnezone, and that's fine with us. Honestly, I think we just overfarm massively in this matchup. We don't know what the third Pokemon is just yet. They go for a Wild Charge, which of course is resisted. It still hits fairly hard. We can now go for a Close Combat, and Close Combat, of course, going to do big damage, getting the KO. They come in with a Skeledirge here, once again completely walled, but it doesn't matter. We just go for the Close Combat, and Rhyperior is going to be way too thick for Skeledirge to flip this matchup here, even with a slight energy advantage. Shadow Ball doesn't do too much damage. We're easily going to make it to a Rock Wrecker, so the opponent just concedes the match there. And going into the final battle of this video, we lead into a Garchomp. This time they are running Dragon Tail once again, so that's fine. We're going to go straight for that Breaking Swipe, and Breaking Swipe is going to be no shielded. We don't get a debuff this time, and as well the opponent does actually farm to a potential Earth Power. We're going to shield, and they full send the Earth Power there, so that is a good shield. We can now go for Breaking Swipe number 2. This will be enough to get the KO, and the opponent just lets it go down. They're now going to come in with Chestnut. Honestly, I think we should be swapping out here, but instead going to go for a Breaking Swipe first. Breaking Swipe doesn't get a debuff, and now we swap into our Kommo-O, and they've got a Metagross in the back. So, of course, we are down 1 shield, but we should be fine here. We're also going to lose CMP, which is actually perfect for us because this will allow us to get off 2 close combats. The first one is going to be shielded, but we can just barely make it to a second close combat, and that is perfect for us, giving them very little farm. Close combat number 2 grabs that final shield from the opponent, and we can just come in with the Gold Dango. Definitely going to shield this, could be an Earthquake. They're probably going to bait, and they do bait with the Meteor Mash, but that's absolutely fine. The opponent then tries to make a catch there, but they are, well, we're going to have to throw energy anyways, so that's fine with us. We're going to go for the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball coming through. We're actually going to go for an undercharge there, and that is perfect for us. Of course, we should live anything they throw here. Everything is resisted, so they go for a superpower that is single resisted, and we're actually going to go for the BM Focus Blast up against the Metagross. Still gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.